Palumbo here for an RX Muscle news update. The IFBB 2023 Chicago Pro has let out, and we have a new champion in his pro debut, Justin Shire. He just won the NPC Nationals last year. This was his pro debut, and what a pro debut it was. We said after prejudging it was a three-man show, and it was really close. John Dela Rosa, Stanimal Standalongu, and Justin Shire battling it out. Three amigos up on that stage, trading places in the middle. Really, the judges leaving us with more question marks than, definitive answers to what might be the final decision. Personally, I liked John Dela Rosa as being the more complete bodybuilder. I did say, however, that Justin Shire had a little more conditioning, and the judges tend to go with conditioning when things are pretty even. Standalongu looked great, but he just was giving up too much size to these other two guys, and I had a feeling that was going to be the problem. I know a lot of people in the audience, especially Stan fans, wanted to see him win this show, especially because his conditioning was the best of that top three. There's no doubt about that. His glutes, hamstrings, lower back, everything was dry, hard, striated. And that's what we look for, right? In a guy who's going to win the show, but he just didn't have enough muscle on his body. Dela Rosa and Shire really matched up well against each other muscle-wise. Once again, I think Dela Rosa had a little bit more in a sense that, he's been competing a lot longer. He has a lot more muscle maturity. He doesn't really have any deficits. His muscle belly's rounder and fuller. But sometimes, the youth wins out. And Shire's got that really tight, taut skin. You can tell he's young. He's got a very small waistline. He tapers well. And this was his day. And, when you leave the door open a little bit, as Dela Rosa did with bringing conditioning that was good but wasn't great, this is what can happen sometimes. And, this is exactly what Shire did. He exploited the fact that Dela Rosa was off a little bit. He brought his best. I think he could still be even better, but this was pretty damn close to, his best. And it was better than Dela Rosa in terms of conditioning, and that's really what clinched the show for him. Now, if you look at the scorecards, they didn't judge for some reason the night and the prejudging. They just had one score up there, so it was really hard to tell if it was close during the morning, and then Shire ran away with it at night. They had one score for him, and it looked like he had unanimous first place votes on that score because he got a 3. So there was probably 5 judges. They probably dropped the high and the low, and he got all unanimous first. So it's possible that some of the highs and lows were not first, but by and far, he won this show unanimously. Now, Dela Rosa and Stanimal were much closer. It was a 1-point decision, which I'm surprised. I thought it would be closer between Dela Rosa and Shire, at least in my mind. And it might have been, because when you drop, usually they drop 2 highs and 2 lows. I don't know how many judges were judging. I see Steve Weinberger was the head judge. He always gets it right, usually, when he's there. But there could have been, some skewed, other judges thinking that, hey, I like Dela Rosa, hey, I like Shire, and there might have been a couple Stanimal first places in there. We don't know what those throwaway scores told us, but at the end of the day, Shire wins. He's going to the Olympia, which I'm sure means that Dela Rosa will probably have to do another show. I don't know which show he's going to do. We might see him in Tampa. I have to talk to him and ask him what he's planning on doing, but I think if he brings a little bit more conditioning, I think that he'll be at that Olympia. He's got all the bells and whistles. He checks all the boxes. He's just got to come in a little tighter, and that's it. If he would have competed last week, he would have gotten the win, and he would have been off to the Olympia. But, everyone picks their shows, and sometimes, picking the big show and not taking a chance and doing 2 or 3 shows to give yourself better odds sometimes can work against you. But Shire should be more than thrilled. Maybe we'll try to get him on TV show this coming week and talk to him, because I know he's got to be super ecstatic about the win and the qualification for the Olympia. I don't know if we're going to see him in any more shows. He might shut it down after this. I don't know if he was planning on doing more than one show, but it wouldn't hurt. But I guess at this point, there's nothing to prove. Back to the drawing board, see if he can put a few pounds of muscle on before he's got to start his prep for the Olympia. And look, it's going to be his first, big show. So I'm sure at this point he just wants to make an impressive showing. I don't think he's expecting anything the first time out. And we'll get him on the show, and we'll ask him all those questions that we're all wondering. But huge win for Justin Shire. Chris Aceto and I will do a full wrap-up of the entire show and the entire top placings. Blessing Awadibu has to finish in 4th, and Patrick Moore finishes in that 5th position. Those guys were really not close to the top 3, however. But they did finish in the top 5, and Blessing's got to go back to the drawing board. He just didn't bring the conditioning he needed. And I don't think Patrick Moore did either. Patrick Moore is usually a conditioning freak. I think he tried to come in a little too big here. But Chris Aceto and I will wrap this up on Heavy Muscle Radio tomorrow night. Don't miss that on the RX Muscle YouTube channel. For now, I'm Dave Palumbo with another RX Muscle news update.